Hi, everybody. It's Ernesto, licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of California Alternative Vista Counseling. Once in a while, I want to showcase the clinical team that I have. And today I've got Dr. Robert Pate. He's been with me for a while now, and he's been seeing a lot of couples. So, hi, doctor.
Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, tell us a little bit about some of the work that you do with your couples in the context of trying to manage their conflict.
Yeah, actually, and you mentioned context, and that's a really important word. All relationships are a little different, and we all bring so many different personality styles and attachment styles and ways of communicating, and those are all well and good by themselves. But when you throw in, different job situations, and do people have kids or not? Are they married or not? Do they share the same faith background? I mean, there are just so many different variables that come into play that really the context is so important, because there's no cookie cutter approach to working with people. If there were, it'd make my job a lot easier, but
Right.
but unfortunately everybody's situation is different. So that's how I try to think about couples. I try to think, where is each person coming from, and how can we get both people in the couple to a good place.
Yeah. What would you say would be the breakdown in communication or the breakdown in the relationship within some of those contexts?
Oh, goodness. If we just maybe took an example or two that might be useful. For instance, if we talk about parenting, that's something that comes up a lot for couples, and they may do okay in terms of managing their kids' behavior and teaching them to be good citizens, but it's stressful, right? I mean, children can get in the way of just about anything that's going on in your life, whether it's getting babysitting or shuttling your kids to soccer practice or football or whatever it might be. There are just so many things that change when you have kids. So really what seems to underlie most problems that couples seem to have is communication. And I know that's really cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And so if you take something like children and all of the chaos that they can bring to your life, even if they're wonderful little kids,
Right.
They can bring so many things that need communication. Right. So if your communication skills aren't up to par, even if you both have decent skills, but maybe they just don't mesh together, you have different styles, you might find yourselves getting into trouble because you're not talking about the schedule in a helpful way, or you've got something in mind to do over the weekend and you make plans, but you haven't talked about it. Or maybe there's a conflict that comes up, maybe something that needs correcting with your kid's behavior, and maybe one of you grew up in a home where there was physical discipline used, and another grew up where there were only timeouts, and you disagree about how to do those things.
Yeah.
Communication is so important for getting on the same page and really both of you being happy and raising your kids in a way that you're both satisfied with.
Yeah, and I think one thing really important to mention is that communication is not only verbal, and a lot of times we respond to nonverbal communication. Can you speak to a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So some people, the words are one thing, but maybe the way the words are conveyed, the tone, or just steamrolling people, not giving space, that can be an issue. The body language can certainly be important. Sometimes people will communicate by physically getting up in someone's space, and maybe there's no actual violence or touching or anything, but someone can feel intimidated by someone.
Even the motion of walking away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge message sent.
Yeah, so there's a word sometimes we use in couples therapy called stonewalling, and the idea there is that if someone is upset and you don't give them anything back, it leaves them even more upset because they get absolutely no resolution. They don't know exactly how you're feeling because there's nothing coming back. There's no open channel there.
Yeah. The couples that I've dealt with in the past, a lot of times they don't know how to interpret behaviors because it's seared into their minds, right? And walking away, slamming the door, even silence are all interpreted in some way, and we all project that interpretation on the other person, especially if we don't feel loved by the other person. Those behaviors can be interpreted negatively.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, there's so much, in terms of how do I correct someone's behavior, ask for something different, how do I say that hurt my feelings or I didn't appreciate that. It's hard to say those things if you don't have, I kind of think about it as a context of grace. Grace, just kind of in a basic sense, is this idea that we're getting something that we haven't earned or that we don't deserve.
Yeah.
And so in a relationship context, there needs to be this context of grace, of forgiveness, of love, of acceptance. If you're ever going to ask for something different or correct your partner's behavior and expect that to actually happen.
Yeah.
So if you've been giving them a hard time forever and never given them any grace, they're probably not going to want to hear the feedback that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's really, really important to kind of look at these aspects. And I'm guessing that a lot of couples come to you. One of the first things that you do is to kind of see where they're at as far as the communication patterns and the communication factor. Correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And I tend to do a few sessions up front, really as kind of a comprehensive assessment. So I'll meet with a couple together and get a sense for what each of their perspectives is in terms of what's the problem here. Do they both see it the same way? And if not, is it maybe just a different interpretation of the same thing? So we get a sense for what do they perceive as the problem. And then I like to meet with each member of the couple individually to get a sense for what is their personal background, how do they see the history of the relationship having developed, what was their family context growing up, really to kind of get a sense for what are they bringing to the relationship that we wouldn't know from seeing them together necessarily. And then bringing them back together for another assessment session. So it's pretty comprehensive, but I think it makes the work go a little bit faster. And when there's conflict in your relationship, that's what you want. You want it to be fixed soon.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope all of you who are listening got a glimpse of Dr. Robert Pate and the way that he works with his couples. He is out in the Huntington Beach location. Once in a while, what I'm going to be doing is showcasing some of these great clinicians that are in California altruistic counseling. And you can always visit our website to know more about us. There's a video there. And hopefully, like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos of this so that you have an engagement or the clinician that you're going to be working with. Robert, thank you so much for all you do at California Altruistic Counseling. I mean, I'm really, really blessed to have you part of our team.
All right. Thanks, Ernesto. And folks listening, I look forward to hearing from you.
All righty. Goodbye.